Today, March 9th marks the anniversary of one of the biggest tragedies in hip-hop history. He is regarded as one of the best rap MCs of his generation. He and his friend turned rival will both lose their lives in a similar manner and are considered one of the biggest unsolved cases of the American culture, even to this day. This is the story of the assassination of the Notorious B.I.G. The Notorious B.I.G. has garnered several nicknames throughout his lifetime. He was born Christopher Wallace and had nicknames such as Biggie Smalls, Big Papa, Frank White, the Notorious B.I.G., or simply Big. We will cover his life story in another video, but this video will simply give you context of how and possibly why this situation occurred for his untimely demise. March 8, 1997 in Los Angeles. The Notorious B.I.G. along with his bad boy label boss Sean Puffy Combs are in town to shoot a video for Biggie's new and anticipated album Life After Death. That evening they attended the Soul Train Awards after party that was sponsored by B.I.G magazine.
Music award goes to What's up, Cali? You're making me high, Tony Braxton.
As you can see in the video, the Notorious B.I.G. tried to welcome California with open arms. Since there's been rivalry between the East Coast and West Coast, the Notorious B.I.G. represented the East Coast coming from Brooklyn, and his former friend Tupac Shakur represented the West Coast despite being born in New York. Shakur lost his life in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada on September 13, 1996. 6 months later, another tragedy will occur. During this time, the Notorious B.I.G. is still feeling the friction from the state of California and the West Side environment due to the loss of Shakur. Therefore, he is not welcome with open arms, as you can see in this video. That night on March 8, 1997, Wallace attended a Soul Train Awards after party hosted by Vibe and Quest Records at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, California. As you can see here of what it looks like today. The guests included Biggie's wife Faith Evans, the R&B princess Aaliyah, and members of the Bloods and Crips. With over 2,000 people overcrowding the venue, the place was filled with so much smoke that the fire marshals had shut down the party. The fire marshals shut it down at 12:35 a.m. on March 9th. After taking a few photos, which are the last photos of Biggie taken before his tragedy, he and his crew headed downstairs to the Chevrolet Suburbans they had rented from Budget Rent-A-Car. The bad boy entourage left the club with a road with separate vehicles. Diddy was the front passenger of the SUV. The Notorious B.I.G. was also sitting in the front passenger seat of his SUV that was behind the one Diddy was sitting by. Both vehicles are driving to the intersection of Fairfax and Wilshire Boulevard. As the traffic signal turns red, Puffy's Suburban station runs through the red light. Biggie's Suburban stops. He traveled in front of the passenger seat alongside his associates Damian Butler, aka D-Rock, Biggie's cousin Little C's, and driver Gregory Young, also known as G-Money. Combs traveled in the other Suburban with 3 bodyguards. The Notorious B.I.G. song Going Back to Cali is playing in his car, which was unreleased at the time to the public. Despite being a notable rapper from the East Coast, he wanted to show the West Coast, specifically California, love. However, that love was not reciprocated. A black Chevy Impala is slowly creeping towards Biggie on his right side. Meanwhile, Biggie and his entourage are distracted by interacting with female pedestrians on the sidewalk on the opposite side of the Chevy Impala. The closer the Chevy Impala pulls up, it stops. The Impala's driver, described as an unidentified African-American man in a blue suit and bow tie, rolled down his window, drew a 9mm blue steel pistol, and fired a whale of bullets aimed at the Notorious B.I.G. Glass is shattered. The female pedestrians and the bad boy crew members duck and cover from the bullets. The Notorious B.I.G. was hit several times and slumped over on his left side. After the shooter finished firing, he drove a car and fled the scene, driving on Wilshire Boulevard. Diddy gets out of his vehicle, running towards B.I.G's vehicle. Diddy's driver, Tone, and security Gene Deal speed off after the shooter. Hear from Gene Deal's own words, as you will see here.
Tone, another guy who was rolling with us, took after the guy. He was going down Wilshire Boulevard, and he was gunning it. Tone's a maniac in driving, but every time he get to like 90, the car would go all the way back down because it had some kind of government chip on that particular Suburban.
Gene Deal is correct. For safety purposes, Suburbans from 1995 to 1998 included a mandatory chip that will automatically reduce speed when the vehicle exceeded 90 miles per hour. A valve connected to the fuel pump closes, cutting off gas flow to the engine and slowing the car down. Therefore, Gene Deal and Tone could not catch up with the shooter. The shooter got away. Pandemonium happened on this four-way intersection. The police were called, and the Notorious B.I.G. was fighting for his life while his friends are trying to support him. They themselves would escort Biggie to the hospital. Biggie was struck by 4 bullets. His upper torso has been penetrated by all the 4 bullets. The bullets entered through his right hip, damaging his colon, liver, heart, and left lung before coming to rest in his left shoulder. These vital organs caused significant amount of damage. Despite the massive internal damage, he never bled externally, only internally. Little Caesars also confirmed this story, as you can see here.
We ran every light, jumping on the curb, sidewalks. We was trying the quickest way to get him to the hospital.
I was talking to him, but I wasn't hearing anything. He wasn't saying anything.
So we get to the hospital. I jump out the car. The gurney comes.
Hey, guy, need some help here.
Everybody helped to pick him up and got him on a stretcher.
Took like 6, 7 dudes to get him out the car. And when we got him out the car, he wasn't bleeding at all.
Hold the gurney, hold the gurney.
The Notorious B.I.G. weighed approximately 390 pounds, and he has extra fat tissue that pushes down on the bullets and traps blood inside the chest wall. Biggie's entourage rushed him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The doctors did everything in their power to resuscitate him, but he has no vital signs. At 1:15 a.m., the Notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace, was pronounced dead. He was 24 years old. In an autopsy report released 15 years later after his death, revealed that only the final shot proved fatal. Family and friends will mourn. Bad Boys members were nervous to who will tell the tragic news to Biggie's mother that she lost her only child.
Everybody was in there with this phone in their hand because we had to make a decision on who was going to call his mother. Nobody wanted to make that phone call to tell her mother her only son has passed away. D-Rock was the only one muscle up enough heart to say, you know what, give me the phone. As soon as he got on the phone, he was already crying. And she was just like, why is this grown man crying on this other line? And he just told her that Big just passed away. She dropped the phone, hysterical crying.
The Wallace family lost a son, father, and husband, and the world lost one of the greatest rappers of all time. The Notorious B.I.G.'s debut, Ready to Die, was the only studio album released during his lifetime, as he was murdered 16 days before the release of his second album, Life After Death, in 1997. Both of these albums are now considered hip-hop classics. His legacy. The Notorious B.I.G. is widely regarded as one of the greatest rappers of all time. The source, AllMusic, described Wallace as the savior of the East Coast hip-hop. The Source magazine named him the greatest rapper of all time in its 150th issue in March 2002. MTV ranked him number 3 on their 2006 of the greatest MCs of all time, calling him potentially the most skillful ever on the mic. In 2012, he was listed on the Source's top 50 lyrical leaders. The Rolling Stone magazine hailed him as the greatest rapper that ever lived. And in 2015, Billboard named Wiles the greatest rapper of all time. Several movies and TV shows were made about his life. His mother and family members have preserved his legacy as well. Recently, his mother, Violetta Wallace, passed away on February 21st, 2025, and we want to pay our respect towards her as well. Biggie's daughter, Tiana Jackson, has appeared in his solo debut music video along with his mother. His son, CJ Wiles, portrayed him during his youthful years in the biopic film Notorious. His legacy is also preserved by the fans who listen to his music to this day and will pass it on to further generations. Rest in peace to the Notorious B.I.G.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on what we should do next in the comments. This is Infinite Lee Productions. We love ya.